Hello witches and wizards and welcome to today's video. So we have got quite a fun one for you today. So there's so many Easter eggs in this game and this one just really caught me. I thought this was so cool and so fun. So it turns out if you are wandering around near the flying class lawn in the bell tower wing, you'll come across this young chap and his name is Hector Fawley. Now, unless they're characters that you can actually, they have like a story with you, they usually are just called like Ravenclaw student, Hufflepuff student. This one's got a name, but he's not one of the characters like, say, Leander Pruitt and Imelda. So this was quite interesting. This was first brought to my attention on Facebook. Somebody had posted a picture of him and written, "Has anyone noticed that we're at Hogwarts with Hector Fawley, the future Minister for Magic?" There's also a post on Reddit saying, "Has anyone else noticed Hector Fawley outside of Hogwarts?" And they showed a bit of dialogue, which I haven't been able to manage to get him to say yet. I did follow him around for quite a while, but I never got him to say this. And I'd not come across him yet, so I went and did some digging. So Hector Fawley was born at some point between the 1st of September 1872 and the 31st of August 1879. No one actually knows the correct date of his birth, but he attended Hogwarts and he was sorted into Ravenclaw. And it is during this point that we see him in the game, between 1890 and 1891. So he was described as a flamboyant minister for magic during the years before World War II. So it was between 1925 and 1939. And he is actually the Minister for Magic for Britain during the time setting of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and also the sequels. So in the first Fantastic Beasts film, the actor that played the British envoy was Richard Clothier. It was speculated that this might be Hector Fawley because Newt addresses him as Minister, but the agency lists his role as Hector Podmore, so it's a little bit unclear there. So in 1926, during his time as Minister for Magic, the Daily Prophet posted an article about him, wondering whether he was doing enough during the Grindlewald threat. He didn't seem to be that fussed about what was going on. And as I followed him around, I can kind of see why he may not have done so much to stop the threat of Grindelwald and why he just sort of kind of let it carry on. So if you're not familiar with Grindelwald, he was a dark wizard who in his youth had a close connection to Albus Dumbledore. And he and Dumbledore were pursuing the Deathly Hallows, and the reason for this was to pretty much enslave Muggles and put wizards in power. So he didn't hate Muggles, but he wanted to overturn the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy. So he wanted wizards to be known to Muggles and to rule over them. And that is why they wanted the Deathly Hallows. And they were doing this for the greater good. They thought that the Muggles would destroy the world if they didn't do something like this. So those were his reasons for it. So if you watch The Secrets of Dumbledore, you'll see that he doesn't seem to want Muggles and magical folk to procreate together either. So going back to Hector Fawley, if we take a look at this footage here, you can see him talking about Muggle-Borns in a really rough way. He seems to have quite the disdain for them.
It's about time Hogwarts put someone like Black in charge. Perhaps now we can stop all these disgusting mudbloods from ruining the school.
And he does this on more than one occasion too. He's clearly some sort of a blood purist when it comes to Muggle-Borns and would like to even see Hogwarts cleared of them. He does actually have a go at Professor Garlick in one of his dialogues. And I wasn't able to get the audio for this. I accidentally recorded it with the audio off. But as you can see from the subtitles, he says, "If only Black had the power to choose the other professors too, then we can get rid of Muggle-Borns like Garlick." So rude. But it's a bit strange because then when he's talking to another student, he seems to have a different opinion on Professor Garlick. Because he's talking about how when he's a 6th year, he won't have to waste his time with herbology anymore. But then he says, "I'll miss Professor Garlick, mind." So I don't know, he seems to contradict himself unless he speaks differently depending on which person he's talking to. And he's actually quite rude to this girl, because when she's talking about herbology with him, he says to her, "I wouldn't bother about that if I were you. I'd be more inclined to acquire myself some bubba tuber pus. I'm sure garlic point you in the right direction. Soon get that complexion in better fettle." And then he just walks off. What a complete arse. So anyway, because he made the mistake of ignoring the rising threat of Grindelwald, he was thrown out of office. But he was re-elected, at least once. And eventually, the consequence of him not bothering to respond to Grindelwald came in 1939, and he was forced from his office, and he was replaced with a more proactive leader. So he seems like quite an interesting character. You can see him messing about on his broom, just like a lot of the other students, falling off, you know, having a great time just practicing. And then he tends to interact with a lot of students. It seems like he was getting into a lot of trouble when he was younger, hiding stuff in the common rooms.
I tried to hide a puffskein once, in the corner of the common room.
And I think he's caused a lot of trouble.
I was always in trouble, I was. Always something broken in the garden. Ornaments, torn up lawn.
He even blamed one of the other students for stealing something off him. He's banned from the Dogweed and Deathcap in Hogsmeade.
If it's seeds I'm after, I'll always go to the Magic Neep. I've upset Madam Green one too many times now. She won't soon be welcoming me back to Dogweed and Deathcap.
He's got some interesting views on how the school should be run. He thinks that, well, just take a listen to what he has to say about the restricted section in the library. So when I got this footage, there was a girl practicing on her broom just behind me on the left, and her noises were really loud, so you'll have to excuse that during this part of the video. But it was the only time I could get him to say this dialogue, so...
I bet all the answers to everything are in the restricted section. I think it should be a special treat in Year 5 that you get to go into it.
And his views on bringing Dementors in for helping teach with Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Do you think they'd actually bring in a Dementor for Defense Against the Dark Arts? What better way to learn, I say.
A little bit of a rogue and, like I said, a blood purist, which is a bit rough. Even though he clearly didn't make these views known when he was the Minister for Magic, he did ignore the threat of Grindlewald. And by listening to his dialogue in Hogwarts Legacy, we can kind of see why he may have done that. And yeah, he's a bit of a character, and this just really intrigued me. I thought it was so interesting and so fun. So yeah, that's one of the Easter eggs that I really wanted to cover, and there are many more that I've found. So if you're interested in seeing more Easter egg videos, then let me know in the comments, maybe leave a like on the video, and consider subscribing because we've got loads of Hogwarts Legacy on here and so much more to come. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a great day and take care.
I shrunk my mother once. I did. Don't give me that look. You weren't there.
Get the bell on.